Some guys
Hurry up, hurry up.
shuffling in here.
I want to introduce you guys to the new assistant coach with the Louisville Cardinals, Mr. Nolan Smith. You know, as I talked about in the press conference, the criteria that I was looking for, the whole time I knew it was him. Love of young people, high character, dedicated to the craft, helping kids reach their dreams. All of that is him. And the big plus is that he's a family member. I know that someone's looking down on us today, and Jerry Eves can attest to this, is smiling, and that's his father, who taught me everything that I know. And to have him in this program, as I said earlier, his blood and spirit is back in Nolan. So, questions?
Kenny, when you went to talk to him, how much convincing did it take to get him here?
How much convincing? For years, me and Nolan have talked about becoming a coach in this business before he became a coach. Me giving him my experiences, teaching him what I've learned. So it really wasn't a lot of convincing as much as it was, here's an option for you. This is what I want. And then putting it on his table to make a decision if he wants to come and be a part of his family business.
Nolan, how does it feel to not only have when you accepted the job, but how's it feel now to be here and walk around and just be part of the
Man. It's really hard to explain. It's really hard to explain just the emotions I felt since landing this morning. I've had chills walking through the airport. First thing my wife and I did, we went and saw my dad. Let him know that I'm home. Let him know that I'm home. And when Coach Payne, KP, called me and said, "Are you ready? We doing this?" I knew it was right. I knew it was right. So to have this card on my chest means the world to me. It means the world to me. To be a part of this, it's bigger than me. And it's always going to be bigger than me. This program has always meant the world to me. So to be able to represent this great university, this school, this program, right alongside this guy right here, I'm so excited. So excited to get to work.
We'll take a few more for Coach, and then we'll get back to Nolan. Thank you.
Coach Payne, I know we're here to meet and greet with with Nolan Smith, but I feel compelled to ask how close we might be to hearing who else might be on your staff.
Great question. Don't know if it's the right timing. I just hit a home run. You know, I'm going to take my time. Again, you know the criteria that I'm looking for. You have to love kids. You have to have the ability to look young people in the face and ask them what are their dreams, what are their goals. And you got to be committed to helping them reach them. So as I go down this list of guys, and that'll be coming, but more importantly than that, let's dwell in what this is and what this means to this university and what it means to this program. To me personally, that's more important than anything.
Kenny, what are the primary responsibilities that you want Nolan to fulfill?
Nolan is coming here having won a national title as a player, has been a part of great teams, has played for arguably one of the best coaches in the history of the game of college basketball. We want all that knowledge. We want it all. His experiences, both as a player and as a coach, is invaluable. I'll be nuts to sit here and tell you that I don't want it. I want it all. I know we're in the same conference, but who best to scout Duke than this guy. I hate to put that pressure on him, but that's what it is.
Kenny, what was your relationship like with Derek?
Derek raised me. From the day I walked on this campus to the day I left, Derek Smith was a part of everything I've done. To prepare for the NBA, I trained with Derek with the 76ers, and they ended up drafting me. I can't begin to tell you what that man meant for me. He changed my life. And to be sitting here with his son with me, can't put it into words where you would understand. I can tell you there were nights when we were arguing and fighting, and he was making me see life in a different way. I can tell you about mentally having me focus on visualizing myself as a better player, and me falling asleep and him hitting me in the back of my head. I can tell you about an hour on the Stairmaster, constantly working until you couldn't hardly walk, and him saying, dig more. I can tell you about watching NBA players and saying, you're going to replicate this player. So when I think about Derek and what he did for me, I wouldn't be sitting here as the head coach if it wasn't for Derek Smith.
Kenny, both of you guys were out this weekend evaluating some of the top talent in the country. Kenny, it's been a couple of years for you since you've been doing it. What was it like to be back out, especially wearing the Cardinal on your chest?
Both good and bad. When you're in the gym and you got the Kevin Durant's and Kyrie Irving's and LeBron James on the court, then you go and watch a high school kid, there's a difference. But it was good. It was good to see all the coaches and to see the kids show respect, and the coaches of AAU programs that know what you've done in this game, and to congratulate Nolan. And a lot of coaches talked about the hire and how good they think we'll be. So it was gratifying.
When you were at Kentucky, a lot of those guys went on to the NBA, and they talk about you and the connection they have through you. Nolan comes from a place where they talk about the brotherhood with Duke. Even at the Knicks, there's a once a Knick, always a Knick. It's like a big part of their thing. How much does this hire say about what that's going to mean to you here, building that sort of bond going forward with players?
It's going to mean everything. Again, this is going to be players first. This is going to be about their dreams, their aspirations, their education. We're not going to make this about us as adults. We're going to make it about them. This program is going to be built on how we help these young people. And we want them to knock it out of the park. And we want their families to be right beside them.
Kenny, you've obviously known Nolan for a long time. What did you
Get a microphone, too. Here you go.
Kenny, you've obviously known Nolan for a long time. When did you first notice his potential as a coach? Was it young when he was a player, or once he started getting into the coaching ranks?
How about when he was 2 or 3 years old and he was walking around dribbling a basketball and he loved it? How about when he was a high school player, one of the best players in the country, and you see how other players relate to him? How about as a young man you see him ask questions to other coaches and you see how inquisitive he is? From day one, he's been groomed to be what he's doing right now, a great coach.
Kenny, I mean, a lot's been made about your relatability to players. What do you see in him that really impressed you about how he relates to players, especially as things change, especially with social media? When you've played this game and you've done it on a high level, you try not to live in the vein of a coach. You try to live in the vein of a player. If you can live in that vein of a player, you know every emotion, every thought process that a player is going to go through. You can identify with that. Sometimes as coaches, we forget that feeling. I don't want to ever forget that feeling of what it's like to be desperate and not knowing if you're going to get minutes,
what it's like to know what you're trying to do on the court, but it's not working. Nolan's the same. I think when you played this game on a high level, when you're compassionate about other people, you can identify with what they're going through and relate to what they're going through, and that helps you have a feel for people and a feel for coaches and players.
Kenny, you've had a number of players, current players, go ahead and make announcements that they plan to return. Some of them hit the portal. What have just some of those discussions been like in helping guys work through that decision?
Again, I want to be all about young people. I wanted all of them to probably stay, but they made decisions that was best for them. I'm not holding anybody back. I'm not forcing anybody to stay. I want them to be here 2 feet in. Fight for what you want. Let's get it together. If not, I wish you the best. Use me as an asset. It's really that simple.
Coach, have you identified any positions on the squad from watching film and know who's coming back so that there are specific positions or types of players that you're looking for to get if you can?
Well, first of all, you know, when you put together a team, you have to put together a team, and hopefully you can do it in a way that resembles the style of play that you want. So I know what was here and what's coming back, but I have to develop those guys as well. I want to play fast. I want to be aggressive, but I want to put them in positions to succeed. Whatever is the best way to do that, I have to do. So hopefully that answers your question, but, you know, that's pretty much it.
Take 2 more for Kenny.
Kenny, I believe as it pertains to current players deciding if they want to transfer or not, the last player to make a decision is Roosevelt Wheeler. Have you had any discussions with him yet and have any indication of what he's going to do?
I hope he stays. We've had great conversations. He understands where I'm coming from. I understand where he's coming from. The ball's in his court.
I just wondered, do you have a list of, do you know who's going to be back at this point and who are the players that you expect to be here next year?
We're still working through that, and hopefully soon we'll know exactly from last year's team who is who and which ones are staying.
Great, thanks, Kenny.
All right, guys. Jerry Eves, you good?
Kenny Payne, great hire, young man. That's all I got to say. I'm good as I can be.
As long as I can make him proud, I'm good.
Come on, slide over here to the video.
Nolan, welcome to Louisville. I just want to let everyone know I'm so proud of you, what you've turned into, the man that you've become. And a lot of these people did not know your dad, but what your dad stood for, ultimate integrity, people first. I'm just glad that you're here, love you, and hope you and your family just relish in the Louisville area like I have for so many years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Nolan, what would your dad say to you right now about this moment?
He'd say, "I'm proud of you." He'd say, "You're a chip off the old block." that was one of his sayings. So, I know he'd be extremely proud of me. It's crazy. My sister had sent me an article that she had found about his path. He obviously was coaching with the Washington Bullets. He always said he wanted to eventually be a coach back here at Louisville. So to be sitting right here, I'm living my life through him like I've always tried to do. So it's very, very special. I'm so honored and proud to be here.
You mentioned how much it means to have that cardinal bird on your chest. What was it like out working this weekend, and talking to people on behalf of Louisville?
I felt a lot of fear of opposing schools. And I'm serious, and it felt great. It felt great. A lot of people, like Coach Payne said, just saying, congratulations, man, we're happy for you, and you and KP are going to kill it. But then just walking past kids, and you hear them go, that's Louisville. Yeah, there's just something about it that when Kenny Payne was hired, and then when I was hired, it just felt a different feeling about this logo. And this weekend, I really felt that.
No, not to go too much on this, but what was that visit like this morning? Just what were the emotions as you were going through that?
Say that again?
You said you went to visit your dad.
Yes.
What was that like? What were the emotions of that like today?
You know, it was really just a very happy moment with my wife. Just no tears, just smiles. Took a couple pictures with them, with this on. And cool story is, didn't know it happened this quick, but somebody drove past and stopped their car. And every time I've come home to play here, I always have somebody stop by and say, "Hey, welcome home. Good luck tonight." Even though I'm a card, but a man stopped by and he got out of the car, and he told us a story about how my dad coached him at Louisville basketball camp. And he said he yelled at him and then did the drill a couple more times, and the kid did it right. Or he wasn't a kid, he was a kid back then. But he did it right, and then he uplifted him. And he said that story, that moment stuck with me for all these years. And I say all that to say, I love hearing those stories. And to be home and just be amongst that, be amongst family and friends, people who knew my dad, that was really made this day so special, is that story right there.
Did you talk with Coach K about this at all, just so we get feedback from him, what he thought about this, and if he supported you, that sort of thing?
I definitely did. There's no way I could leave that office without going up there and talking to him. I think he was finalizing his plans to go to Vegas and start his retirement. But he said this was a great business decision. And there was no pullback, nothing where he felt like, oh, I need you here. No, he said this is a great business decision. So happy for you and your family.
Nolan, you heard KP talk about, your relationship. Tell us now in your words about your relationship with him and what it's been like as you've grown up.
I've been blessed to have a lot of uncles. When my dad passed away, you have one of them sitting right here, Uncle Jerry Eves, and so KP's been that for me since my dad passed away, even while he was alive, but especially when my dad passed away. I had a lot of people come into my lives, and Kenny Payne was one of those people that came into my lives that coached me in life, coached me in helping become a man, coached me in basketball as a player, and then even now as a coach, somebody I can always call and to be a mentor. We were just talking to one of them, Uncle William Wesley, Uncle Wes. I know he's probably watching right now. He said make sure I shout him out, but I know he's a very happy man and proud man right now as well. But he's meant everything to me. So, again, to be here with him now as we start this journey, that means a lot.
As the hiring process proceeded, Kenny Payne's name was at the top of the list for most people. How closely were you following it, and how soon did you think that this was going to be a reality?
Yeah, I was following it very closely. Knew that was a possibility. You start seeing the rumors flying around, and you start hearing all the names, and in my heart, in my mind, I'm like, oh man, this is the time. Kenny Payne's gonna get the job, and so then obviously when it went down, just so proud and happy for him, happy for Louisville, the city, and we were in the midst of the tournament, so just trying to focus on what we had going on. But I was definitely following it very close. I remember I was on the bus. It was an ACC turn watching this press conference, and had my headphones in, watching it and watching everything, listening to everything that he said about what he feels, what he's looking for, what he's gonna do here. And I just couldn't help but smile back on that bus, just watching him become the head coach here.
As a follow-up, how quickly was communication between the two of you after that, or even before?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of communication at all. He knew what I had going on at Duke and focusing on our season. He sent me one text and he said, "Are you ready?" That's it. And that was the text. "Are you ready?" And I said, "I will be." So he left me alone. Obviously, we went to the Final Four, so it was a long time and a long waiting process before we could talk anything further than that. But then obviously once we lost, then we started to talk.
Nolan, it's been a tumultuous past decade for this program with a really proud history, watching from afar and coming in to take this job. What is it, do you think, that's either been missing or that you want to bring to try and put Louisville back to where it's used to being?
I think for me, the one word that I'll say right now that this program needs is love. Love. Love, like KP's been talking, love of the players, love of this community, love of the fans. And I think if we do this the way we're going to do it, that word's going to stick out. That word's going to stick out. And I think y'all can feel it right now. Y'all, there's a lot of love going on amongst the former players, us. I got to see Russ Smith back here getting treatment. And just Russ Smith goes, man, that looks good on you. And I said, long time coming, but that relationship with myself and the former players, KP and the former players, is going to be a lot of love, and that's how this program is going to rise quickly.
Has the coach asked you for any input on other members of the staff, people that you've dealt with while being an assistant at Duke?
No, not much at all. You know, he's gonna go with his instincts and his gut. He's been in this game a long time. He knows who's gonna be a player first guy, who's gonna put these players first and their families, and he's gonna make the right hire on that. But we're excited, and I know he's gonna put together a group that knows the game of basketball and is gonna embrace this program, embrace this community.
Nolan, with your experience coaching at Duke, what talents do you feel that you bring to the table here for Louisville?
I'd like to say I bring a lot of talents, so I don't want to speak on every single one of them, but a couple things that I've learned just from where I've been is preparation is key, and how I prepare, how I help Coach Payne prepare, how I help my players prepare. If I have to help them get routines and just becoming pros, all of that is preparation. And I've learned a lot about that just for me as a player, but even more as a coach, and just pushing them to be the best preparers that they can be prepared for practices, games, and any big moment that we might be put in.
Nolan, with you as the only staff member right now, have you guys talked about, like, what's the now for you? I mean, there's guys here. Do you start kind of doing some workouts with those guys? Is it all about recruiting and putting together a roster?
I think right now is recruiting and obviously getting to know these guys that are here right now and just cultivating those relationships that they feel the love. See, I told you that word's going to come up, that they feel that love from us. Right now, obviously, we want them to focus on their school. Springtime is the time to catch up on your schoolwork. As we know, a lot of these young men can get behind during the season, so catching up. Kenny was walking me around. I seen them in there working hard in their studies. So that's a beautiful thing. But just getting to know them, but then really focusing on the recruiting as well. Getting what we need here for next season out on the recruiting trails and being really busy doing that.
Nolan, the last 2 years, Kenny's been in the pros. You've been in the college game. So much has changed even during that time with the transfer portal and everything. How much has he kind of leaned on you to kind of almost help catch him up a little bit?
Yeah. No, we've talked a lot, and even though he was in the NBA, he was always watching college basketball. So he still is very knowledgeable of what's going on in this world. He never lost touch. But he's definitely been leaning on me to, if he does have questions, to help him up. I think one thing we've had a lot of conversations about is NIL, which really changed the game of basketball. But we're going to further those conversations. That's not a one conversation thing that I think every coach around the country is still figuring out.
Duke is Duke. I mean, they have probably more recruiting advantages than anybody in the country because of everything Coach K achieved and all the players they've had come through there. Do you see yourself recruiting the same kinds of players here at Louisville, or will you have to change your approach?
No change at all. We're going after the best players in the country. We're going after the best.
You said this program is going to rise quickly. Obviously, you and Kenny, the reputations that you've built on the recruiting trail. And you mentioned some of the response from players. How quickly do you think this will change in terms of the interest that you're getting from those kinds of
I think it's going to happen very quickly. We're going to go after the best of the best. We're going to give them our pitch, our recruiting spiel. These facilities are amazing. They get to play in the Yum Center. I mean, it's really, for me, it's not going to be hard at all. We're going to recruit with love. You hear that word again? And they're going to feel that. The families, everybody's going to feel a part of this when we're recruiting, and I think that's going to be different. But Louisville basketball, this program is one of the best of the best, and always have been for a long time. So to make sure they know that, the players that we're going after, and they feel that, but we're not going to lower ourselves. We want to coach the best, we want to be the best, and we want to win.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You've had the scout this year
Yes.
for Duke. Can you just kind of, like, from your standpoint, now you're here, but you were there, what you saw with this team and the 5 or 6 guys that you might have back, what kind of your assessment of those guys?
Yeah. First thing I saw was toughness and talent. You know, I think that was one of the first things when I went into that staff meeting, getting ready to go through my highlight with Coach, and I said, Coach, this team is much better than what their record shows. They're talented. They have a lot of talent. They just clearly have a lot going on. But they're talented. They're going to play hard. So if we don't go into this game prepared, they can get us. Plus, in that moment, we knew they were going to come together, and they definitely did. But L. Ellis came out and had a big-time game. Just the talent and toughness that we saw, I knew we had to be ready.
Kenny kind of said he'd love to pick whatever you got from Coach K, bring that here. What would you say is maybe 1 or 2 things about your time both playing for him and coaching under him that you learned from him?
I think just his ability to adapt. Every single year, really, from this is player and coach standpoint, he was able to adapt and change the way we played based on the roster. Every single year, he didn't come in with the mindset, well, we're running these plays and this is what we're going to run. He looked at his players. We watched them in the summertime, watched them in the fall. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's try this offense. That might not work. All right, let's add a couple more plays. Maybe this fits best. And then mid-season, we would do the same thing. So just always adapting and being ready to change for the players. Just because as a coach is what you want to do, it might not be with the players. It might not make them the best players. And I think that's really what's made Coach K really, really great.
Most of the issues that have happened here with the NCAA have been assistant coaches who've gone beyond the rules. How does Coach K monitor his assistants, and is there a suggestion that you would have to prevent future issues?
Yeah, Coach K never had to monitor us because he knows that we're all high-character guys, and he's always hired high-character guys. So when you have high-character assistant coaches, you don't have to monitor them. You know that they're going to do the right thing. They're going to have a great relationship with their compliance officer at the school. They're going to ask questions before they do anything. If they don't know, if they feel like it's maybe a step over the line, ask before you do. But that's what high-character assistant coaches are supposed to do to make sure they're upholding the standards of the school and of the program.
Thanks, everybody. Before we finish up, why don't you introduce your wife?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I have to introduce my better half. Us as coaches in this business, we can't do what we do without our wives. And I have a very special wife. She served in the Air Force for 4 years, security forces, got out as a captain. So she's pretty tough, very, very tough. Coach K wouldn't say so, being an Army guy. They got into a lot of battles, but no, this is my better half, Shayna Smith, and yeah, welcome.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today.